This woman is my new hero. Her name is Shay Rowbottom, and she has got serious courage. This woman has a lot to lose. She's a business coach on LinkedIn with over 600,000 people following her. So that's a massive platform. Lots of people listening to her advice. And she decided to use that influence to talk about something that's really quite controversial in today's day and age, to talk about gender roles in relationships and what women are actually wanting from men. Very non-PC, very raw, very honest, and I think she's fantastic. Let's listen in. I'll use text-to-speech software so you can hear what she says, but you can also follow along in text here.
Most women don't feel safe with men anymore.
And most men don't feel safe with women anymore. Gender relations are at an all-time low. Men and women don't understand each other, which is why there's so many more single people these days.
We lie to ourselves and pretend we don't want a dominant guy, because that makes us weak as women. The truth is, women deep down do want to surrender. There's nothing more liberating than to experience a healthy man who you can trust enough to completely let go with.
I'm so grateful when a woman actually has the courage to admit this, because she's risking condemnation and, cancellation from the woke mob and the radical feminists, because she's stating such an un-PC truth that deep down women do want to surrender to a man. That's what femininity does. It nestles in under the protection of masculinity. The irony of this, of course, is that she says that admitting that she wants to surrender a man, it's hard to do that because that makes her weak. Whereas I would argue the opposite. It's strength. It's strength to admit actually what it is that you feel inside, even when you know people are going to condemn you because it's not politically correct, to go against the tides and actually say, no, this is me, this is truly who I am. That's real strength. If you want to know what weakness from women looks like in today's day and age, it's giving in to radical feminism. It's attempting to be a man. Women who are too scared to actually be women, to be feminine, and so they develop their masculinity instead, that's what true weakness is. Femininity does not make women weak. Admitting that you are feminine as a woman, that doesn't make you weak, that makes you strong. It's so taboo to talk about this, and I've copped flack, bringing this up in the past, but I want to just reiterate what Ayn Rand said about gender roles, about men and women. She said that the ideal archetype for a man is a hero, and the ideal archetype for a woman is a hero worshipper. When people hear me quote Ayn Rand, when she says that the ideal for a woman is to be a hero worshipper, they think, oh my God, that sounds so outdated. That sounds so sexist. Is that all women can, live up to, is just to be someone who worships men? And I can understand it sounds bad, but I want you to just listen to the context with which Ayn Rand says it. We're going to play her quote in full and tell me, does this sound actually sexist to you, or does this sound empowering to women?
For a woman, the essence of femininity is hero worship, the desire to look up to man. To look up does not mean dependence, obedience, or anything implying inferiority. It means an intense kind of admiration. And admiration is an emotion that can be experienced only by a person of strong character and independent value judgments. A clinging vine type of woman is not an admirer, but an exploiter of men. Hero worship is a demanding virtue. A woman has to be worthy of it and of the hero she worships. Intellectually and morally, that is, as a human being, she has to be his equal. Then the object of her worship is specifically his masculinity, not any human virtue she might lack.
You see, she's not weak being a woman who is wanting to find a man worthy of her worship, to look for a hero. That's an expression of her hypergamy, but it's empowering to her because she's not worshiping him because he's a superior human. She's worshipping specifically his masculinity because that's what femininity does. And it's reciprocal. The masculine worships the feminine. They exist in a sort of symbiotic, beautiful dance together. And it sucks that we can't just admit that. That's what makes the human relationships between men and women so magnificent. Is not because we're the same and everybody's all the same. It's because we're different. And in those differences, it's just glorious. So please take Ayn Rand's advice on board. Your job as a man is to become a hero, and it's to find a high-quality woman who is a hero worshipper.
So why does it seldom happen? Because men like this don't exist anymore. We've been brainwashed to believe traditional gender roles are somehow wrong.
I would say that what has happened is entirely predictable. Yes, it seems a little bit much right now that everybody is rebelling against gender roles, but if you think about how things were for the longest times, those roles were extraordinarily confining. You know, men had to act like men, women had to act like women. We're forced to act in this very specific way. Otherwise, we face, ostracization and social condemnation. Now, breaking free from that prison, I'm actually 100% in support of, because socially, I'm a libertarian. I largely think that when it comes to social relationships, freedom should be the highest ideal that we can aspire to. I don't want anybody to be forced to act a certain way. And so I'm grateful to be living now rather than the 40s or the 30s or wherever, because I like the idea that I have the freedom as a man, that if I want to act really girly, really feminine, I totally have, the choice to be able to do that. I like that I can have that freedom. But here's the thing about freedom is it's choice to rebel against what has come before, but it's equally the choice to just uphold it, on an individual level. If you as a man want to act all girly and feminine, that's fine, but you should also have the freedom to act really, stereotypically masculine and tough and patriarchal if that's what you want to do. But the problem is that I feel like as society is in a backlash to those social roles, we've overcorrected the other way, and so many men have internalized the message that to act the way that like our forebears did, like their grandfather and great grandfather, that's like problematic, that's part of the problem. They have to rebel against gender roles, otherwise they're somehow being sexist. And I think that that's completely missing the point. Genuine freedom doesn't just mean doing the opposite of what we did before. It means having a wide array of options available to you. The painful irony of all of this is that one of the main motivations why men are rejecting traditional masculinity and acting more feminine is because they truly believe women when they say that that's what they want. They think that by acting sensitive, new age, progressive, all emotional all the time, that's going to make women more endeared to them, Like I need to act more like a woman so that I can attract women. And the reason why it's painfully ironic is because that's not at all what women want. Even if it's what they say that they want, women are still responding by and large to the same things that they have always responded to inside men, which is confidence, leadership, masculinity.
There's truth in that. Yes, women haven't always had it easy. There's truth in that. Women haven't always been respected, or equal, or taken seriously, or given the same opportunities as men. But there's also truth in that. We never needed to do everything that men can do in order to be happy, whole, and fulfilled. We just needed their support.
This is one of the blind spots of modern radical feminism. Lots of people are so brainwashed, indoctrinated into that way of thinking that they genuinely can't see their own blind spot. The truth is that if women want the freedoms and privileges that comes from being masculine, they want to compete with men, they want to be equal and the same as men, they need to understand that those freedoms and privileges that men, enjoy, they equally come with responsibilities and burdens, and you can't separate the two. That's absolutely a package deal. If women want to compete with men in traditionally male spheres, then they need to expect to be treated as a man. They can't play the woman card. They can't hope for special treatment because of their femininity. No, men are like, if you're playing our game, then you got to play by our rules. And I think that it's this that infuriates a lot of men. It's the hypocrisy that they see from radical feminism, because it seems, at least on the surface, that so many women want those privileges of existing in the male sphere and of being masculine. But the moment that it doesn't suit them, they remind everybody that they're a woman, and it's like, hey, you need to treat me different. You need to treat me special because I'm a woman. You need to give me special circumstances. And it's like, okay, well, I don't know what to do with that because I don't sense any consistency in your point of view. You want to be treated as a man when it suits you and treated as a woman when it suits you. The only common element that I can discern is that however you want to be treated, it's always to your benefit. She's a hardcore feminist when it suits her, and then she's a damsel in distress when it suits her. She'll change based on the circumstances. And That is what I would call toxic femininity. This woman's a lot more sensible though. She said that women never needed to do everything that men do. What they wanted was men's support. But in this day and age, a lot of men are confused. They don't exactly know what that looks like. What does a woman mean when she says support? Anyway, let's listen.
Today's age of men think that support is being passive, agreeable, and feminine, so women can instead take charge. A lot of men simply stand by and don't speak their truth, get assertive, or step into their power because they don't want to be seen as that guy with toxic masculinity who doesn't respect women.
I've said it before in previous videos, but I cannot understate it enough how much contempt women have for men who renege on their masculinity, who think that they're being an ally of women, they're being sensitive to their needs by not taking on any leadership roles, not making decisions, not taking charge. Women hate men like that. Women are never going to be sexually attracted. They're never going to respond on a primal level to the kind of man who's like, yes, dear, whatever you want, dear. I just agree with you, dear. I'm a perfect extension of your thoughts and your life. You know, that's not the kind of man that a woman wants. Women want a masculine man, a man who's got strength and is confident to assert his values and his beliefs and his preferences. She feels safe around a man like that because she knows where she stands. I really wish more women were honest like Shay is being here and actually admit that, because then we wouldn't have this generation of men who've listened to toxic feminism convince them that their own masculinity is problematic. And, we created this entire legion of men who are too scared to assert themselves, which of course means that they're completely unattractive to women.
They're wounded, and therefore can't handle rejection. They desperately want to fit in. So much so, they'll sacrifice their own sacred masculine energy, a gift from God, to fit in with the PC climate.
Yeah, women are not good at empathizing with men. I've spoken about this in previous videos, and I've talked about it in length in my Patreon. Lots of videos I've talked about that, how women essentially have instincts to look after children, right? But they expect men to take care of them. That's sort of the hierarchy of it. So when a man is struggling and he has his own concerns, his own difficult feelings, it can be difficult for a woman to actually be compassionate to what he's going through, because it runs counter to what her instincts are telling her, which is like, no, I'm the woman. You're meant to be taking care of me. Because women don't really have these instincts that lend themselves to natural compassion and empathy for men, unfortunately, it can give women an exaggerated sense of the strength of men. You see this in media, like in TV shows all the time. Female characters can say horrible things to men. They can even hit them and strike them because there's this sort of collective belief. It's just bizarre that women don't have the capacity to hurt men. I'm just a woman, you're a man, you're beyond my reach to hurt. And that's just so fundamentally wrong. If any women in the audience out there still harbor under that delusion, I promise you it's not accurate. Your words have massive power to harm and wound men. Women need to be aware of that, because it's dangerous when they throw around words without being aware of the impact that they have. So when you've got this generation of women who are happy to call every man sexist and, he's patriarchal and he's toxic and he's got toxic masculinity, they throw around these words without really considering the impact it actually has on the men who are the victims, like the targets of those words. They don't know how deeply it sinks into the psyche of a man. Like, you picture a kind of guy who genuinely wants to be an ally of women, wants to do the right thing, wants to be nice and improve everybody's lives, and the idea of women saying, well, you're horrible to women, you exploit your male strength and you're toxic, that just terrifies a lot of guys. And it really impacts the way that they are, not just in the world, but how they think of themselves. It gets into their self-esteem and their own psychology. Women don't know how painful it is as a man to be told that you're a sexist. And yeah, if you're picking up on some emotions in me as I'm saying that, you're completely accurate. I'll own up to it. The idea that there are people out there who think that I'm sexist for what I'm talking about, that hurts me, because I'm so far removed in my mind from a sexist. I so badly want to remove suffering for every human being. I love women, I love men, I just want them to have happy relationships. But you see people like online reacting to me or whatever, like, oh, this toxic Alexander Grace, like, look how sexist he is for talking about what he is. I'm not immune to that. That hits me. That hurts me. It doesn't impact me enough that I would actually sacrifice my integrity and stop doing what I'm doing and just shrink and say, oh no, I submit to you. I'm not actually going to change. Like, I've got more integrity than that. Like, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. But the painful irony, again, of this is that it's those men who are most sensitive to the plights of women, the most compassionate to what women go through, that are most likely to take on this message. You know, if you picture a man who is genuinely misogynistic, he genuinely hates women and he has views that women are inferior, like a man who actually believes that. When women criticize him of being sexist, it just rolls off his back. He doesn't care. Like, he's like, yeah, you're a woman. Your opinion means nothing to me. So it has no impact. All her words don't change him. But a man who genuinely cares about women, it's going to affect him, and he's going to internalize like that he maybe is a sexist or a misogynist even when he's not. And so unfortunately, none of the targets that they actually want to hit are being hit. It's all just civilian casualties. It's like a horror movie, because now you've got this entire generation of men who are like PC pushovers, do whatever women say, never say a bad word against them. And they've turned into the kind of men that women never date. They would completely ignore those kinds of men because there's no discernible masculinity. They think that they're being feminist allies, they're being an ally to women to basically give up their masculinity. And then they have to endure the humiliation of those women that they changed for, continue to sleep with and date those kinds of guys who don't change, the traditionally masculine men, the kind of men that women say that they don't want to date. How humiliating, how ironic, how painful.
Most men today are beta, and most women today have been conditioned to think that that's safer. Oh, but how we have been fooled.
Yeah, you've absolutely been fooled. Being with a beta, I don't really like to use that term, but being with a weak, feminine man without any leadership is not safer. Think of yourself in a boat and you're in a storm, or you're in turbulent waters, and there's a captain at the helm. Like, what kind of energy do you want to have discern from that captain? Do you want him to be really, progressive and feminine and, constantly checking in with everybody's feelings? Oh, I'm thinking we should do this. Is that okay? How do you feel? No, you don't want that kind of collaboration. Not at that point. When you're in dark waters, you want a genuine leader, someone who backs his own judgment. Right, do this, get there, get that. That's the kind of man that a woman can feel safe with. And life is a lot like that. It's like being in a boat where there's danger all around you. Life is full of, painful, horrible events. It's uncontrollable, it's scary, you get sick, you go broke, you do all kinds of things. If you are a woman and you're scared that you don't have the masculinity to be able to navigate all of that stuff, you are specifically looking for a captain who's going to make you feel safe. And that weak feminine man who's always wanting to collaborate with you and check in with you, he ain't it. So you as a man, you got to think about what kind of a captain you want to be. Are you going to be the guy who's a genuine leader that's going to make people feel safe? Because that's what she wants.
Why do so many women date holes? Because at least narcissistic men are assertive, controlling, manipulative, soul-shattering. Also yes, but just a taste of that dominating force from a man is something women crave so much today, they'll find themselves in toxic trauma bonds with guys who don't actually love them.
Yeah, this one is so sad. I recently released a video on my Patreon about the dark triad. That's the personality traits of narcissism, psychopathy, and Machiavellianism. Tough video. It's not the kind of video I would ever release on YouTube. But what she says here is true, and it's painful. Men don't like to hear this one, but she's being accurate here. The truth is that the modern generation of men, they're just so lacking in any kind of masculinity, and women are so starved for it that when they see any kind of discernible masculinity in a man, even if it's coming in a totally toxic, abusive form, like it's narcissistic, it's like a sociopath or whatever, at least he's got some confidence, at least he's got some grit, at least there's something manly about him. And in a sea of orbiter losers, of men who are just simping over her and giving her everything that she wants, she's like, look, as nice as all those guys might be, I'm gonna go with what my instincts tell me, that this guy, as frightening and as narcissistic as he might seem to be, he's actually safer because I am a woman and I need a man.
So, you tell me, why do you think women don't feel safe? Because they're either with beta dudes who can't protect them and they know it, or narcissists who feed off their feminine energy for their own selfish gain.
Yeah, it's like I explained in the Patreon video on the dark triad. There are certain benefits that come from developing those personality traits when it comes to dating women, but it comes at a huge cost. And On this channel, I'm all about developing that middle ground. I'm all about developing positive masculinity. This channel is for men who don't want to be pathetic, pushover excuses for men that everyone can just push around, but they don't also want to develop into narcissistic assholes who just exploit others and are completely selfish and manipulate people for their own selfish gain. This is a channel for men who just want to be good guys. They want to be confident. They want to be masculine. They want to understand themselves and they want to understand women. They understand the nuance that kindness as a man is not weakness and that strength is not abusive. This is a really interesting one actually, because this channel, it's sort of in a unique position in that I feel like I catch men from both sort of extremes. Like absolutely, if you want to call it like blue pilled, I get men from the sort of Disney fairy tale, like, oh, I just got to be myself and women will finally, know and appreciate me. And they realize they've been too weak, they've been too feminine, they've been pushovers. And then they come to this channel. It's like, all right, I'm here. I'm going to toughen up. I'm going to be a man. I'm going to, develop myself. I get men from that arena, absolutely. But I also get men who have gone into like the red pill kind of stuff and they've gone really toxic and like, yeah, it's just all about me and I'm in it for myself. And then they realize it's like, oh no, I was becoming the kind of person that I used to hate. I don't want to go that far. I just want to be a regular good guy, but who understands these things. And for me, it doesn't matter whether you come from this place or from this place. You're most welcome here. Whatever extreme brought you here. I'm glad that you found this channel because, join me on this journey. We are taking that middle path. We are becoming masculine in as positive a sense as possible for the benefit of you as an individual, for the benefit of men everywhere, and also for the benefit of women.
Relationship after relationship. Disappointment after disappointment. Heartbreak after heartbreak. Why should we trust men? In today's age, it's safer to simply become men ourselves. But then again, that's why so many women aren't happy. We're constantly trying to be masculine, because there's so few men left to allow us the safety to surrender and be who we really are inside. Feminine.
I mean, there it is. I love this woman. It's so simple, but that's the answer to the age-old question. What do women want? To be themselves, to discover who they are at their core. Women want to be feminine. Yes, it's true that women want masculine men, but do you see that it's still just a means to an end? Why does she want a man with masculinity? It's because she knows that it's his masculinity that will bring home and bring out her own femininity. The way I think of it is that femininity is a luxury. It's what makes life fun and enjoyable and beautiful. It's receptive and it grows things and it's gorgeous. But it's a luxury because before femininity can really be allowed to thrive, the masculine side of life has to be taken care of. You need boundaries, you need protection, you need strength, And so a woman is looking for a man to deliver that to her in a relationship so that she doesn't have to do it herself. She wants him to be the masculine one so that she's free to focus on the feminine parts of life. She wants to be emotional, creative, nurturing. She wants to cultivate beauty and express her creativity. She wants all those things that make life, like the little details, worth living, make actually existence enjoyable. She doesn't just want to survive or find the most efficient way of surviving. That's more logical. That's more the male aspect. She wants to cultivate a beautiful life. That's what women are good at. And I tell you, it is so deeply fulfilling to a woman to be in a relationship that facilitates her own connection with her own femininity. If you're masculine enough in your relationship to allow your partner to be feminine, you can expect total loyalty and devotion from her towards you because she's got what she's been looking for. She's yours. You've got a loyal partner who's pair bonded with you.
A healthy man will use his assertion for good, not evil. A healthy man will know when it's time to take charge and know when it's time to sit back. A healthy man will be present, protective, and listen to his woman. A healthy man won't use his power to manipulate you. He'll use it to empower you, unthreatened by your strength, unwavered by your divine, radiant, and powerful feminine energy.
He's unthreatened by her strength because he's not competing with her. He has masculine strength and she has feminine strength. They exist in totally different lanes. She doesn't feel threatened by his masculinity. She cheers it on because she knows that as his girlfriend, as the one who worships him as a hero, she's going to receive the practical benefits of that masculinity. And exactly the same in reverse. The man cheers on her femininity because he knows he's going to reap those rewards. It's a beautiful balance. They both feed into each other in a gorgeous symbiosis. They're complementary. It's a beautiful thing to watch.
Masculine energy isn't about manipulating women. It's about providing them with a safe container to be feminine again. Know the difference.
I understand that this one can be difficult to understand because it's nuanced. It's not black and white. When does leadership become controlling? When does, strength become abusive and being too forceful? It's difficult, and it can be frustrating sometimes for men because women are not as upfront as this woman has been. And thank you so much to her for sharing these thoughts. It can be difficult to know, okay, what exactly do you want from me? Women have a lot of difficulty being direct with men. They prefer indirect. And to be honest, a lot of women don't actually have the self-awareness to be able to properly communicate what it is that they want. I mean, if women actually stated what it is that they wanted, I'd be out of a job, right? Like, you could just listen to them, what they say that they want. You wouldn't need to come onto the internet and listen to me interpret female behavior in a way that makes sense to the male mind. I have never claimed that this stuff is easy. It's not. It's really, really complex. And the truth of it is that only high quality individuals with really positive self-esteem and a thorough understanding of gender differences are really going to be part of that rare tier of individuals who know the pleasure of a happy, healthy relationship. Most people's relationships, as far as I can tell, are miserable, and they're going to be miserable. They just don't have the emotional depth or the self-esteem to actually make an intimate relationship work or, be pleasurable for them. But even though it's really difficult, the way that I see it is, what choice do you have? You've got this one precious life. How else are you going to spend your time? Don't you want to be the best person that you can possibly be? Don't you want to reach your full potential? Don't you want a high quality girlfriend who loves and supports you? Don't you want to know what a relationship with a woman like that is like? Don't you want to have children someday and know what it's like to raise a family? These are essential elements of the human experience. Do you really want to go through your entire life not knowing what that's like? If you're greedy like I am and you're ambitious and you go, no, whatever life has to offer, I want to experience it, I don't want to miss out, then I'm glad that you've come to this channel, because this is what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to educate men so that they can navigate through all these complexities and find themselves a high quality girlfriend. So check out my older videos. I've got heaps of topics there. Check out my Patreon. That's where I post a lot more of the nuanced stuff that might not have much of a mainstream appeal, but especially like a lot of relationship advice. Like, once you're actually in a relationship, how do you navigate the difficulties you associate there? Heaps of stuff on Patreon. And if you find yourself in a real bind with a woman and my sort of general advice is not really applicable, like I need to hear specifically what's going on, just reach out to me on Hey Hero. Send me your story, ask me your questions, and I'll send you a personalized video in response. And I want to end this video just by thanking you. Thank you for watching all the way to the end of this one. Thank you for continuing to support this channel. My work is so meaningful. I've just got the best job in the world. I get messages every single day from men. Oh, they're so generous with their words, telling me how much my content has helped them, how it's helped them get into relationships, how it's helped improve them as a man, how I've cleared up a lot of things that confused them and now they have clarity moving through the world. And they're so grateful to me, and I just love reading those messages. It means so much to know that what I'm doing here is making a difference. I cannot tell you how fulfilling that is. And I really mean it when I say that what I want for you is happiness. I want you to be free of suffering, and anything I can do in terms of what I've learned in my life that can help you in that, I will give you that information. It's one of the most incredible experiences life has to offer. Being in a relationship with a high quality woman can reach heights of pleasure and joy that you don't know when you're single. It's a rare experience. It really is. Very few individuals can get to that point, but anything I can do to help you get there, I want to offer my help, because life is hard. Life is brutal. It's full of suffering, and human relationships, especially consensual romantic relationships, we don't need more suffering there. We need to be kind to each other. And I hate to think of good relationships suffering because of just a lack of understanding about gender differences. I should definitely end this video by once again giving a special thanks to Shay. I'll put a link to her YouTube video if you want to find out more about her. I don't think she talks about this stuff often, but hey, when she talks, you listen, because this was gold. What she said was really fantastic. Here's an interesting question. How do high quality women express their sexuality? Are they promiscuous? Do they just stick with one man? Are there certain sexual acts that a high quality woman would never engage in, or is it not really like that? Anyway, somebody recently asked me this question and I created a Patreon exclusive video about it. If you want to access that, then please just go and sign up on my Patreon. It's just $5 a month, really cheap, especially given how many videos you get. Must be like 150 videos at this point. You get instant access to all of them. It's a great way to support the creator. We have an amazing community over there. I'd love you to be a part of it.